All right, everybody, welcome to the live stream. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss. I'm just watching, as we speak, the end of a wild Tennessee Titans New York Giants game. It's been a wild first week already. There's a lot of injuries to get to. We're going to talk about all the injuries, go through each game, all the highlights, the big performances and whatnot. And also any questions that you have, you can post in the chat. As the Tennessee Titans have the ball on 3rd and 4 with 29 seconds to go. The Giants came down and scored and then went for two. Brian Dable elects to go for two, and Saquon Barkley converted. And what a huge comeback game for Barkley today, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I love the call by Dable. It was the right call, new coach, trying to change the culture of the team. And if the Giants can hang on and win this game, even better. So a lot of injuries, a lot of big names that went down today. And it started early. You had T. Higgins, who I own in one of my leagues, went down with a concussion, caught two passes, only scored 4.5 points on the day, which was a lost day for him and his owners. Luckily, I was able to survive his loss and win my matchup. But Higgins, it was obvious. He came over the middle, made a catch, got crunched helmet to helmet, immediately grabbed his face mask and went off, and then quickly was diagnosed with a concussion. So Higgins is going to have to go through the protocol. Sizable loss. Tyler Boyd is the pickup in his place if he's available on waivers. You got to pick up Tyler Boyd. But it was a lost opportunity because there was a lot of passing in that Steelers-Bengals game. All right, also Elijah Mitchell, no stranger to injury, and that's why I told you I posted that video yesterday telling you to grab prospective backups like Jeff Wilson, Khalil Herbert for the 1 o'clock games, and then if Mitchell or David Montgomery make it through the game, then you just drop them before the 4 o'clock games start, and so on and so forth. That way you have the backup in case disaster strikes. Well, disaster struck. Eli Mitchell injured his knee. We don't know the severity yet. If it's an MCL or a sprained MCL, then that's going to be a 3 to 4 to 5 week injury absence. So Jeff Wilson is the add. Wilson really didn't do much of anything in his place, but Wilson is a decent player. I think with a full scheme, full week of practice as a starter, I think he's going to be fine. Of course, Deebo Samuel ran the ball a lot more than I thought he was going to run it. I guess it's nice when you have security with the new contract, you're willing to do that again. So Samuel could also be an option there. Keenan Allen, this was the big one for the afternoon. Keenan Allen comes down with an obvious hamstring injury, clutched his hamstring after a play early in the game, went to the locker room, was ruled out. He's going to have to probably get imaging done on the leg. And Joshua Palmer would be the likely add, although this was a funny game, which we're going to get to. Mike Williams decided to sleepwalk through most of it. But any absence by Keenan Allen is going to be a big one. Najee Harris left with some sort of injury that's not considered serious, whether it was his foot. He had the Liz Frank sprain. Tannehill just threw an absolute laser with 18 seconds to go to Kyle Phillips. So this kid Kyle Phillips is really doing well today for Tennessee. But so Keenan Allen, you can almost guarantee he's not going to play next week. He's probably not going to play the week after. The hamstring injury, it looked pretty serious for Allen, so I don't think you can count on him for next week by any stretch of the imagination. So the other injury, which I lost my train of thought. I was watching this game. I'm sorry. I was talking about Najee Harris. Yes, Harris, they said it wasn't serious, some sort of a foot injury. But it just reminds you that why I avoided Harris in the first place, because any Liz Frank injury is one that's going to linger and tend to reoccur as well. So this is why I was fading Harris in almost all leagues this season. Sorry, I'm just grabbing a water. And I'm still watching this Titans-Giants game. But it looks like Harris avoided injury. It looks like he's going to be okay. And at least for now, crisis is averted. But if you're a Harris owner, you can't be too comfortable having him right now. Harrison Butker suffered an injury in the game, the kicker for the Chiefs, and then he came back. Wan'Dale Robinson for the Giants had a knee injury. He was ruled out. Robinson was an intriguing sleeper for me because of the fact that Giants were, A, this new coaching staff is heavily invested in him, and B, they were willing to use him all over the field, whether it was in the backfield with gadget plays, jet sweeps, short passes, and also out wide and in the slot. So Robinson being used all over was a little bit interesting to me, but it looks like he's got some sort of knee injury that's going to have to be monitored. Mac Jones had x-rays on his back. He's going to be further evaluated. Not that you were owning Mac Jones anyway, and the Patriots really just did not play well today. It was pretty ugly. And you really don't want to have any part of this offense. Juwan James tore his Achilles for the New Orleans, for the Baltimore Ravens. So he's going to be done. Just going through. TJ Watt suffered a torn pec. So if you play defensive players, that's as big a loss as you're going to get. TJ Watt, a torn pec, probably going to knock him out for the remainder of the season. So those were the big injuries for the day. We had a couple of scares. Derrick Henry and Jameis Winston, they went into the locker room, or actually went into the blue tent and got looked at, and then were able to return. So overall, you have Keenan Allen, you have Elijah Mitchell, and T. Higgins in terms of the key injuries for today. So what I want to do now is go through. Randy Bullock is coming on for the Titans to kick a potential game winner. 24 seconds left. You really, and I'm a Giant fan, so I would love to see the Giants win this game. I'm like a wounded Giant fan where I just expect the worst. This is a 48-yard field goal. Oh, my God, did he miss this? He missed it. The Giants won. Holy crap. Brian Daboll, in his first game as Giants coach behind a huge game from Saquon Barkley, have won. And now my phone's going to go crazy. I'm going to get a bunch of text messages. But the New York Giants pulled it off. Wow, I didn't see that coming, that's for sure. Amazing. Unbelievable. Big win for the Giants. On the road, no less, against Tennessee. Gotta love it. All right, let's go through the games. I'm just pulling it up here on my phone. We're going to go through them one at a time, and then I'll give you my thoughts on all the happenings for each. All right, going to start with the Raiders and the Chargers. The Chargers win at 24-19. There were some major offensive problems for the Raiders. Derek Carr, 22 of 37, 295, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So and took 5 sacks. The Raiders' offensive line was horrendous. Carr had a really difficult time dealing with that pass rush. And the offense was pretty stagnant throughout the first half of the game. His counterpart, Justin Herbert, 26 of 34, 3 touchdowns, 279 yards. So Justin Herbert is just amazing. He's a great player. No surprise there how well he did. But this is what was interesting to me. The Raiders only ran the ball 13 times, and 10 of them was Josh Jacobs, who collected 57 yards, 5.7 per carry. So it was a good game for Josh Jacobs, a guy who was pretty much, the feeling was that the Raiders were moving away from him. They didn't pick up his option. You got the sense that the Raiders were ready to just dump Jacobs to the curb, but they gave him pretty much every carry. Brandon Bolden got 3, but Jacobs played well, believe it or not. Now, on the flip side, Austin Eckler, 14 carries for 36 yards, just a rough day for him on that front. He did catch 4 passes for 36 yards, but it was not a good fantasy day for Austin Eckler. So his owner's definitely upset. Now, Davonte Adams. We were all not worried, but we were slightly concerned about Davonte Adams leaving Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he wouldn't be having those uber blockbuster, catch campaign seasons, game by game, whatever. But Adams was a monster. 10 catches, 141 yards, and 1 touchdown. So I think that Davonte Adams is going to be just fine with Derek Carr, his former Fresno State roommate. Darren Waller, 4 catches for 79 yards. The thing with Darren Waller is that, especially over the last season plus, is that the raw catches in each game are just not overly impressive. And now you have to worry about Davonte Adams, basically hoarding all of the throws from Carr, as we saw in this game. But Waller with 4 for 79, workman-like game for him. He's been paid, so he's playing loose and free now. But the biggest disappointment was Hunter Renfrow, 3 catches for 21 yards. So at least we have a evidence, I could say, about what the pecking order is looking like. So Davante Adams obviously is heading the target tree. Waller finished second, and then Renfro only 3 catches for 21 yards. Now, Del J, 4 of the top 6 survivor picks lost. Ty, Denver outstanding. Yeah, you know what? I don't do those survivor pools. I think those things are just a complete waste because it's so hard that first week to know where everybody really stands. I mean, you just don't really have a good read on teams that early in the season. So I always try to avoid those survivor pools. Keenan Allen, 4 catches for 66 yards before he goes off injured. Gerald Everett, 3 catches, 54 yards and a touchdown. So it was good to see Gerald Everett get involved. He was a fairly semi-attractive late round tight end sleeper, but there were so many tight end sleepers, whether it was Austin Hooper, Evan Engram, Taysom Hill, who I recommended, and we'll get to later. So just, a decent effort by Everett, nothing out of this world, so I wouldn't run out to get him. Now, the biggest bust of the game was Mike Williams. How Mike Williams managed to catch only 2 passes for 10 yards when his team needed him the most with Keenan Allen, exiting the game injured. Just an absolute dog of an effort for Mike Williams. And this is the problem with Mike Williams. This is what made me nervous. I did target Williams this year, but it made me nervous, the fact that he always runs very hot and cold from one game to the next. He'll go 10 catches for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he'll follow that up with a game like this, 2 catches for 10 yards. Just an awful game for Williams. It's an embarrassing effort, if you ask me, for sure. All right, let's look at Chicago. Miami and New England. So this was an interesting game. I had a feeling the Patriots are going to struggle. We heard all summer about the offense was kind of rudderless, whether it was Joe Judge calling the plays or whoever was calling the plays. There was a lot of concern about the New England offense, and we saw that here. On the flip side, Miami, Tua Tagovailoa looked good, 23 of 33 passing, 271 yards and a touchdown. So wasn't anything spectacular. He didn't blow the doors off or anything, but Tagovailoa was pretty good. And who really benefited the most was Tyree Kill, 8 catches for 94 yards. So Tyree Kill, I said to you, out of the 2 guys, Hill and Waddle, Hill would be the guy I'd be more comfortable with drafting. Now, Jalen Waddle went 4 for 69 and a touchdown. So he's the one who had the touchdown between the 2. But both guys had a decent day. And you could feel a little bit better that Tagovailoa played as well as he did against a Bill Belichick defense. And Belichick historically eats up young quarterbacks like Tagovailoa. And, 23 of 33, that's very good accuracy. And Tagovailoa has always been very accurate, but nothing downfield. The offense has been tailored to Tagovailoa's strength, the short to intermediate throws. Tyreek Hill was targeted a lot in the short game and allowed to pick up yards after the catch, which is his specialty. So it's a different way of operating for Hill, but it worked. As far as the run game was concerned, Damien Harris and Ramondre Stevenson pretty much split things right down the middle. Harris had the better game, 9 for 48 rushing. Ramondre Stevenson, 8 for 25. Really was kind of disappointed in Stevenson. I'm not going to lie. He caught 2 passes for 2 yards. Just really nothing going right for the Patriots today, including Stevenson. Jacoby Myers, 4 for 55. He doesn't get into the end zone. That's not his thing. You don't want to own any New England Patriot other than Stevenson. I still would hold Ramondre Stevenson. I'm still curious to see what he does, further into the season, if he can take over the starting role for Damien Harris. But the fact that Harris played better today, I don't think we're there yet. Chase Edmonds, I was very high on Chase Edmonds coming into the season. I was disappointed in him today, 12 for 25 on the ground, just 2.1 per carry. That's not going to get it done. He did catch 4 passes for 40 yards, which is good. And you want to really, that's where Edmonds is going to make hay. Looks like Justin Jefferson should have been in consideration for number 2 overall. I think Justin Jefferson should have been in consideration for number 1 overall. That's what I was saying during the summer. I was contemplating taking him number 1 in the league that I had the top pick. I ultimately went Jonathan Taylor, but anybody who took Justin Jefferson first, no issues there. I've always said, unless you have that very first pick this year, and it was Jonathan Taylor for me, I was going wide receiver, and I was lucky enough to get Jefferson 4th overall in one of my leagues. So, he was just unbelievable today, no doubt about it. But, Raheem, getting back to the Dolphins, Raheem Mostert showed good speed. Edmonds really needed to do a little bit more to kind of distance himself, at least on the running side of things, from Mostert, and he didn't do that. So that's just something that bears watching there. All right, the New Orleans Saints, 26 victory over the Atlanta Falcons. A lot of fantasy storylines to talk about. Jameis Winston did the job, 23 of 34, passing 269 yards. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's the big thing. No interceptions for Winston. He got on the same page with Michael Thomas, looked good. Marcus Mariota on his counterpart, 20 of 33 for 215 yards. Mariota ran for 72 yards in the score. So the thing with Mariota is, you could group Mariota in the Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Jalen Hurts category. And Mariota, did pretty well. He was accurate, and then he ran for the touchdown. But you really don't want to have anybody on this Atlanta Falcons offense. I think it's going to be a rough sledding for them. But Jameis Winston, on the other hand, he did well. He impressed me. Ran for 9 yards. He's not going to run anymore at this stage of the game off the knee surgery and everything. But I like the way Winston stayed with it. Struggled early on. He actually got dinged up. He went into the tent and was looked at. Had to make some throws on the sideline. Andy Dalton grabbed his helmet, but Dalton wasn't needed. And so Winston did pretty well. So if you're in a super flex league or you need a good backup quarterback, you could do a lot worse than Jameis Winston. All right, now I have to brag. Okay, I got killed on that Taysom Hill video that I posted not that long ago, pointing out that he was a possible fantasy cheat code, that he carried quarterback and tight end eligibility. And there's quite a few people who went to town on me saying it was ridiculous. He's never going to get any value. Only if Winston and Andy Dalton get hurt. Well, you know what? Taysom Hill ran 4 times for 81 yards and a touchdown. And he also caught a pass for 2 yards. So they're going to use Taysom Hill all over the place, especially around the goal line where he can take direct snaps and run it in. Taysom Hill should be a priority pickup this week. Again, having tight end eligibility when you're going to be allowed to throw the ball on gadget plays, you're going to run the ball, and you're also going to be thrown to. You're going to be utilized in all 3 parts of the offense. What's not to like with tight end eligibility? That's fantasy gold, and that's why I posted that video, even though I got ripped by quite a few people. You gotta. I would use a significant waiver spot on Taysom Hill this week. And as a matter of fact, I think he's my number 1 guy, overall for the week. Alvin Kamara, only 9 for 39 rushing, 3 catches for 7 yards. It was just a complete abomination of a day for Kamara. Kamara misses Drew Brees. You're never going to see that kind of production from Kamara again in terms of, catching 8 balls a game, getting all the goal line work. Mark Ingram was used in this game. Of course, I talked about Taysom Hill. It's not going to be as smooth sledding for Alvin Kamara as it was during the Drew Brees days. So I think he'll be much better than this. Don't get me wrong. I still like Alvin Kamara this season, but I think that the numbers might be a little bit more inconsistent than people think. Now, Cordaro Patterson. So Damien Williams left early. The Falcons had planned to use Damien Williams in tandem with Cordaro Patterson. Once Williams went out, Cordaro Patterson got involved, and he played very well. 22 carries for 120 yards and a touchdown, 3 catches for 16 yards. This is the type of performance we saw out of Cordaro Patterson early last season, and he really carried it through the midpoint before the wheels came off, before the fatigue set in, and things really kind of went off the rails. And if Williams misses time next week, I think you're going to see the kid from BYU. There's no way that Patterson is going to hold up on the 22 carries. This was a nice game. Let's enjoy it. But ideally, 10 to 12 carries, 4 to 5 targets in the passing game. I'm good with that with Cordaro Patterson. All right. As far as the passing offense, so, Jameis Winston spread it around pretty well. Jarvis Landry, 7 catches for 114 yards. Jarvis Landry is not washed up, folks. He suffered in Cleveland just like Odell Beckham Jr. With Baker Mayfield. He's got a lot of juice left by the looks of it. Remember, Landry was a PPR gem when he was at the Miami Dolphins, and I think there's still life in him as a wide receiver 3. Michael Thomas, how about this? Thomas got off to a very slow start, missed pretty much the last 2 seasons with never-ending injuries. came back in the second half of this game, helped lead the comeback, 5 catches, 57 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was unbelievable in the red zone. Really did the job. Really like what I saw out of Michael Thomas. If he could just stay healthy, I think that we could be looking at a very significant wide receiver 2 campaign from Michael Thomas. Now, there's competition. Chris Olave, 3 catches for 41 yards. And Alvin Kamara is not going away. There is competition. Winston did spread it around, but he really had to have something going there with Michael Thomas, later on in the game. Adam, Chiefs just put everyone on notice. Adam, you're right. They did put everybody on notice, 100%. We were concerned about Tyree Kill leaving this offense. Nope. When you have Andy Reid as your coach calling the plays, and we're going to get to that game, you don't have to worry. All right, Randy Miller, right? Michael Carter, running back 1. I'll get to the Jets. Tyree Kill, Adam. Yeah, Tyree Kill, who is right. I'll get to Michael Carter shortly. I'm still basking in the Taysom Hill glory. All right, for the Falcons, Drake London, 5 for 74. I really like what Drake London did. He did a good job. He didn't look nervous. He performed. Now the bad news, Kyle Pitts. Jesus. I mean, shit. 2 catches for 19 yards for Kyle Pitts. I mean, this is just not going to work. And I admit I was suckered in on Kyle Pitts again for this season, but it was just an abomination for Kyle Pitts. Like, I don't understand it. Drake London was doing the job drawing coverage, but the double teams were flowing Pitts' way the entire game. And I am concerned. Marcus Mariota is not known for his acumen passing around the red zone. So I am concerned. It's one game for sure, but Matt Ryan was a much more adept passer than Marcus Mariota. And if this is going to be Kyle Pitts, 2 catches for 19 yards, not good. All right, let's do the Pittsburgh game. Pittsburgh, this was a wild game. My goodness, nobody could make a field goal, late in the game. All right, Del J, if we could redraft now, Saquon might go number 1. I don't know if he'd go number 1, Del J. I don't think so. But you know what? With Saquon, his ADP rose from the 3rd round in May all the way to the late 1st round at the end of drafting season. Listen, all he's got to do is stay healthy. This Brian Daboll offense looked good. It really did. I mean, they worked out the kinks early on, and I'll get to the Giants later. It looked good. And Barkley looks like a great fit. And those who went to the well and drafted him, even in the 1st round, it looks pretty good. Before I get any further, anybody that's new to the chat, to the stream, make sure you hit the subscribe and notification button. Going through the wrap-up now. I'm taking questions. Post your questions in the chat. I'll get to them. I'll answer your questions, any comments you have as well. Make sure you throw it in there. And then, of course, injury update videos tomorrow as well. Randy, thank you for subscribing. I just got the notice. I appreciate that. Anybody else that's new, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And also follow me on Twitter at RotoBoss. I didn't tweet as much today because there's just so much going on. I was really concentrating on the videos. So make sure you also follow me on Twitter at RotoBoss. All right, how about this? Mitchell Trubisky, 21 of 38, 194 yards, threw a touchdown. It's never going to be smooth with Trubisky, but he did the job when he needed to, made the throws when he needed to, and the Steelers, they came out with the win. So you can't knock Trubisky for that, and he was aggressive. Joe Burrow, boy, 53 passes, my goodness, 33 of 53, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Man, it was a mess for the Bengals. And I have to tell you that it was an omen early on in terms of the offensive line. The Bengals' offensive line does not look fixed, folks, and I'm really concerned. To have to throw it 53 times. Burrow was hit constantly. He turned the ball over a million times today. I'm concerned. I don't think that, the Bengals addressed this offensive line in the offseason, but it did not look good at all today. And you have to at least be mildly concerned about what's going to, going into the future with this team. All right. How about this with the running game? Chase Claypool, 6 carries for 36 yards, plus 4 catches for 18 yards. So Chase Claypool all of a sudden is a dual threat player. So I didn't see that one coming. I'm sure many didn't see the same. Yeah, that's interesting to me. Chase Claypool, who was a tight end in college, is now being used on jet sweeps and in the passing game out of the slot. So, hey, let's roll with it. I said, Chase Claypool was coming way too cheap in drafts. He was a late round dart throw. I get being nervous of Mitch Trubisky, Deonte Johnson there, George Pickens, but I'm very curious to see what happens going forward. All right, when Burrow turns it over 5 times, you can't blame the offensive line. You know what? You're right. You can't totally blame it, but at the same time, Del J, I think he was speeding up his throws and his progressions because he was expecting to get hit. Right from the first snap, he was getting pummeled. And after a while, that wears down a quarterback, and they start rushing throws, rushing through progressions, and then, the turnovers happen. All right, Najee Harris. I told you all to avoid Najee Harris. I hope you listen. 10 carries for 23 yards, 2 catches for 3 yards. I mean, you talk about bust. So far, Najee Harris, complete abomination himself today, did nothing right, pulled up lame, didn't finish the game. The initial reports that he's going to be just fine. It's not a serious injury, but I told everyone to avoid Najee Harris. Ben Roethlisberger is no longer there to dump it off 8 to 10 times a game. It's not happening. I forecasted Harris for around 45 catches, not the 80 plus, however many he caught last year, the 70 something catches he had last year. It's not happening, folks. It's not happening this year. And he looks hobbled. He looks slow. They have this new toy with Chase Claypool. I think if you own Najee Harris, you need to be very worried about this. All right, Joe Mixon, 27 carries. Wow, that's a lot of carries. 82 yards, 7 catches for 63 yards. So Mixon did the PPR dance. I like the way Mixon looked. That's a lot of carries, though, for the first game. I wasn't too thrilled about that. But I think Mixon's going to be just fine. He was boring to me in drafts this year. I didn't sort out Mixon in drafts. I wasn't inspired to draft him. Let's put it that way. But you know what? He's still a very good player with a couple of good years left. All right, Pat Freiermuth, 5 catches for 75 yards. Underrated tight end for sure. Deonte Johnson, 7 catches for 55 yards. So Deonte Johnson, he did his thing. I still think, just like with Najee Harris, the raw catch totals are not going to be there. I think Deonte Johnson's going to see a decline there. But, he's very effective in that short area passing attack. And Mitch Trubisky seemed to target him a lot as well. All right, George Pickens, 1 catch for 3 yards. So, that was a big storyline in the summer. And a lot of the guys who made noise in the summer, the rookies just didn't really have it today or weren't trusted to do much, and Pickens was one of them. I think you can hold him for another week. I would hold Pickens for another week, but after that, if there's another dud, then you can cut him loose. The fact that Deonte Johnson and the tight end there and Chase Claypool are ahead of him on the depth chart, you don't really want to hold Pickens much longer. All right, Jamar Chase, man, this guy is good. 10 catches, 129 yards, and a touchdown. Once T. Higgins left, it was really the Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase show. Hayden Hurst chipped in 5 for 46, so good. That was another tight end sleeper, Hayden Hurst. So Hayden Hurst, if you're really hurting at tight end, you can look at him as well. Tyler Boyd, 4 catches for 33 yards and 1 touchdown. So Boyd's going to be the one to fill in for T. Higgins. Higgins has the concussion. It's always a race to try to get back, before the next week's game. So that's the song and dance that he's going to have to go through. All right, let's talk about the San Francisco 49ers Chicago Bears game. There is some issues here with Trey Lance. All right, Trey Lance was pretty terrible. Now, I will say the weather was horrible. It was pouring rain. Very difficult for any quarterback to operate in this environment. But when you have a very capable Jimmy Garoppolo behind you, who just redid his contract and is the highest paid backup, you got to think Trey Lance is feeling a little bit of heat, and he will after this one. 13 of 28, 164 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. He ran for 54 yards. It was a dud, no doubt about it. No touchdowns for Lance. Only 54 yards on the ground. That's not going to cut it. So you do hold, Trey Lance for another week. Give him a mulligan because of the weather, no doubt. Justin Fields was not much better, 8 for 17, 121 yards, but he did throw 2 touchdowns. All right, ran for 28 yards. The rushing yardage wasn't there, but Fields at least got the 2 touchdowns in. I think you hold both guys for another week. All right, I want to see Lance, and I want to see Fields, in much better weather. But for Trey Lance owners, and he was a hot commodity all summer, you got to feel a little concerned about this. All right, so the running game, Deebo Samuel, 8 carries for 52 yards and a touchdown, only 2 catches for 14 yards. So if you're a Deebo Samuel owner, you love the touchdown, but I think you much prefer the catches, the receptions, as opposed to the rushing opportunities. This is a guy who's been hurt a lot going back to college, and being a running back, much more chance of getting hurt than catching passes. So I'm not loving the usage of Deebo Samuel so far. And again, we could blame the weather. He wasn't being used much in the passing game. That's fine. But I told you all to avoid Deebo. I wanted no part of him, the injuries, Trey Lance, and Brandon Ayuk, who I thought was going to be who has better chemistry with Trey Lance since they worked out together all offseason while Samuel was holding out. Brandon Ayuk had only 2 catches for 40 yards. 1 carry for 7 yards. Ayuk's got to do better, but again, the weather. All right. For the Chicago running game, can we be done with David Montgomery? I mean, I just don't want to see this guy anymore. 17 carries for 26 yards, 1.5 per carry. David Montgomery was absolutely pathetic. And he's just always, he caught 3 passes for 21 yards, big whoop. Montgomery was horrendous. Khalil Herbert, give me Khalil Herbert. 9 carries, 45 yards, 5 per carry, 1 touchdown. He only caught 1 pass for -2 yards, but Khalil Herbert needs to get more carries, folks. You can't give 17 carries to David Montgomery, and he averages less than 2 per tote. It was pathetic. And it's a new coaching staff in Chicago. They really have got to realize that Montgomery just doesn't cut it. All right, I'm sorry. Raw volume is great, but that was pathetic. Rain or no rain. All right, so that's going to be a big storyline this week to watch is, Trey Lance. All right, Philadelphia-Detroit. The Philadelphia-Detroit game, that was a lot of fun. There is a lot of numbers to get to here. Jalen Hurts. This guy is perfectly made for fantasy football. We had our issues, our concerns about Jalen Hurts and his passing acumen. He was only 18 of 32, 243 yards, did not throw a touchdown, also did not throw an interception. But Hurts did his thing on the ground, as he always does. 17 carries, 90 yards, and a touchdown. All right? So, listen, that's the name of the game with Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts can finish quarterback 1. I really do. We didn't draft him for the passing acumen. We drafted him for the running. All right? Mr. Beast is asking me, should I pick up Darrell Henderson? Yes, you should pick up Darrell Henderson. Definitely. Kyron Williams is out for a while, so I think that you absolutely should pick up Darrell Henderson. But, yeah, Jalen Hurts, it could have been a bigger game for sure, but he got help, all right? Miles Sanders, listen, Miles Sanders was good. We all love to knock Miles Sanders, but he did the job today. 19 of 13 carries for 96 yards, 1 touchdown, added 2 catches for 9 yards out of the backfield. But the Eagles kept everybody involved. Kenneth Gainwell, 5 carries for 20 yards and a touchdown, 2 catches for 12 yards. So it's a little bit of a 3-headed monster there. Even 4-headed monster. Boston Scott got 4 carries, although he was ineffective. So, Miles Sanders played well, but when Jalen Hurts is going to carry it 17 times, there's a cap on how much Sanders is going to do. Mr. Beast is asking me 2 things. What should I do about the Najee situation? Should I wait on starting Breece Hall? You absolutely should wait on starting Breece Hall. We'll get to that Jets game soon. Michael Carter is not going away, and he's a thing, as I said all along. The Najee situation you absolutely should be concerned about. I talked about Najee Harris already. I don't know if you just tuned in, but his foot's not right. He lacked explosion today. He lacked speed. They're using Chase Claypool now on jet sweeps. He was hurt today. They say it's not a big deal, but I didn't want Najee Harris anywhere. He's not catching passes out of the backfield. He won't go anywhere near the raw reception total he had a year ago. So, yes, you need to be very concerned. My fear was always that Trey Lance drags down the value of Deebo and Ayuk. Bingo. Del J, bingo. Absolutely. That is the concern I had with Trey Lance. Trey Lance is in that same group as Justin Fields and Jalen Hurts. You need the rushing yardage. If the rushing yardage is not going to be there, then you can't start him. All right. And the rushing yardage wasn't there for Trey Lance. Trey Lance can't be a passer. And I was very concerned about Debo with Trey Lance, for sure. All right, getting back to this Eagles game, DeAndre Swift. Yes, in DeAndre Swift we trust. 15 carries, 144 yards, 1 touchdown, only 3 catches for 31 yards, but so what? Jamal Williams, 11 carries for 28 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, Jamal Williams that was a crime that he stole 2 touchdowns from DeAndre Swift. But 9.6 a carry for DeAndre Swift. I did a video on DeAndre Swift. He is an absolute running back 1 overall candidate. That's how good a player. That's how explosive DeAndre Swift is. The sky's the limit for sure. All right. A.J. Brown. Listen, I'll eat crow on A.J. Brown. I didn't draft him anywhere. I've knocked A.J. Brown in the past plenty when he was with Tennessee. But if he's going to do this every week, 10 catches for 155 yards, holy shit. I mean, that's insane production. And he is a superstar receiver. I compare him to Jamar Chase with that unbelievable athleticism and the ability to make catches down the field, to make the difficult catch. And yes, he didn't even have a TD, Mr. Beast. You're absolutely right. If A.J. Brown is going to do this on a weekly basis, he could be a wide receiver 1. This Eagles offense is scary. And this Eagles team in general is scary. Best offensive line in football. They have weapons all over the field. And that's why I really wanted Jalen Hurts. Didn't get him. But, they're going places. Dallas Goedert, 3 catches for 60 yards. It's going to be tough for Goddard to have consistency with A.J. Brown there, with Miles Sanders, Jalen Hurts running the ball. And Davonte Smith, man, if you start Davonte Smith, my condolences. With all the numbers that the Eagles put up today, no catches, no targets, Davonte Smith. I mean, that's crazy. I purposely said don't draft Davonte Smith because I was afraid he was going to be the guy left out. And at least for one game, he is the guy left out. All right. Amon-Ra St. Brown, slow start, 8 catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown. Everybody was worried, did he have those numbers because DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson weren't around? I was a little bit concerned about that, but with the Lions playing catch up, he did the job. DJ Chark, 4 for 52 and a touchdown. He was solid. DJ Chark is a guy in 5 receiver formats. You can definitely use him. TJ Hawkinson, 4 for 38. 7 fantasy points for TJ Hawkinson. Just like with Dallas Goedert, I think he's going to be overshadowed by Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift. So I'm a little, I had Hawkinson grouped with the Darren Wallers, with the Dallas Goederts, guys who might run a little bit hot and cold. So I didn't really actively chase Hawkinson either. But yeah, this Eagles offense is good. I do trust Jalen Hurts. Del J, I disagree with you on that. I do trust Jalen Hurts. I think he's made for fantasy football. He's running all over the place. He's picking up, big time chunks of yardage. So I think he's going to be really good. Can you wait? Mr. Beast is asking me, should I wait on Jacoby Myers and Damien Harris? I hate that New England offense, Mr. Beast. If it's a standard league and you have Damien Harris, then you could wait. If it's a PPR league, I wouldn't wait. I'd cut him loose. I think Henderson's going to, is going to be the guy. And Jacoby Myers, he just doesn't score. He doesn't score. If you have 2 bench spots, then yeah, I would let Damien Harris go. Honestly, he's so touchdown dependent. All right, the Ravens, Jets. As a double Lamar Jackson owner, and what I mean by that is I have 2 fantasy leagues that I'm in that I care about. I own Lamar Jackson in both leagues. Boy, I was concerned early on in this game, but Jackson came back and put up the numbers, 17 of 30, 3 touchdowns, only 17 yards rushing. I was disappointed in that, but the 2 touchdowns were there. 3 touchdowns. He threw the interception late, which was annoying, but I think Lamar Jackson is going to be an absolute monster this year. He ran it 6 times. I don't think he's shying away from running the football, but, looking for the new contract. Quite the contrary. I think Jackson's going to pull out all the stops to put up as big a numbers as he possibly can. So I think he's going to be just fine. The running game. If you went with Mike Davis, it was bad. 2 for 11. Kenyon Drake got the carries, 11 for 31. I had a feeling Kenyon Drake was going to be the guy. He only caught 1 pass for 15 yards. So if you started Mike Davis, man, it was a rough one. So, yeah, I my condolences on that one. All right, so the Jet running game. I said it all summer. Don't draft Breece Hall. Look what happened. 6 for 23, was completely non-involved. He was a non-factor running the ball. Now, I will say he did catch the 6 passes, out of the backfield, which was good. But, I think the 6 catches for 38 yards. I lost my place. I'm sorry. So that was good, no doubt about it. But Michael Carter is not going away, and Michael Carter caught 7 passes for 40 yards, so he even bested Breece Hall there, and he ran the ball really well. He averaged 6 a carry, 10 for 60 yards. Michael Carter was drafted by this coaching staff. He was never going away in the first place. So all those 4th-round Breece Hall draft picks was just dumb, And Joe Flacco's not going to be starting all year. He was checked down central. When Wilson comes back, I don't think he's going to be checking it down as much. And Michael Carter ran it really well. Michael Carter has explosive ability. Breece Hall is more of a power runner. Okay, so I think he's not going to continually get 6 catches, Mr. Beast. No way. I was surprised by the 6 catches by Breece Hall, but it's a 100% timeshare between the two, so that's going to hurt both for sure. As a matter of fact, I would rather own Michael Carter right now than Breece Hall. All right, Rashad Bateman, 2 catches for 59 yards, the 55-yarder that saved his day. I was very disappointed in Bateman. Sauce Gardner was on him. Just goes to show you how good a player Sauce Gardner is going to be for the Jets. They did get it right there. Mark Andrews, 5 for 52. He did not score. You're always bummed out when Andrews doesn't score because it really kind of elevates his day, but he'll be just fine. Nothing from Isaiah Likely. I know we were wondering about Isaiah Likely. Would he be the 3rd option? No, he's not. So if you have Isaiah Likely, you can cut him loose. Feel free to do that. Del J, drafting rookie running backs and wide receivers, it can be very dicey for sure. I'm not, especially with the running backs lately, the hit rate on rookie running backs, while Najee Harris, put up numbers last year, was really volume-based. The recent success of rookie running backs like Clyde Edwards-Helaire and whatnot, not so great. All right, for the Jets receivers, Elijah Moore, 5 for 49. I expect a little bit more out of him. Corey Davis went 6 for 77. Garrett Wilson, the rookie, 4 for 52. So Joe Flacco spread it around. So it was not one of those guys really did much more than low-end wide receiver 3. The only Jets receiver I'm interested in is Elijah Moore. So if you have Elijah Moore, I definitely would continue to hold him. Garrett Wilson, unless you're in a deeper league, I don't think you really need to hold Garrett Wilson. But the Jet offense as a whole, you really don't want anybody on the Jets offense other than maybe Michael Carter. All right, we did the Baltimore. All right, so Washington, the Commanders with a 28-22 victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars. I expected more out of the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, man, 24-42, 275, a touchdown interception. He only rushed for 4 yards. I really expect more out of Lawrence this year. I really do. I keep coming back to the fact that we all can't be wrong about him as a generational talent. We just can't. He was so good in college. He was so good with Clemson. I refuse to believe that he's not going to be a thing in the NFL. It just might take a little longer than we anticipated. Carson Wentz, God, I hate this guy. 27 of 41, 313, 4 touchdowns. He threw the 2 interceptions. He's always drive his coach crazy, but I don't want to own Carson Wentz. If you want to own him, feel free. If you're in a super flex league, I guess, if that's what you want to do with your team, whatever. I don't even really want to talk about him. All right, the running game for the Jaguars. So James Robinson came back and played pretty well off the Achilles. And the difference between him and Cam Akers was draft cost. Cam Akers cost a 4th or 5th round pick. James Robinson cost you nothing. So I'm fine with you bringing in James Robinson to see if he's got anything left. And he ran, very well today, 11 for 66, averaged 6 a carry, 1 touchdown, only caught 1 pass for 3 yards. So wasn't targeted in the passing game, but he is a capable receiver. Now, Travis Etienne, 4 carries for 47 yards. They're not exposing him a lot to the running game, which is a bummer. Only 2 catches for 18 yards. So Etienne, it was a disappointing game for sure. Didn't, single-digit points for Travis Etienne. I expected a lot more. I think as the season goes along, they're going to unleash Etienne a little bit more. But James Robinson's not going to go away. And the fact that Robinson played pretty well today, if you're really hoping to get a lot of Travis Etienne, at least initially, I don't think it's going to happen. All right, Antonio Gibson got new life. Certainly was the workhorse, 14 carries for 58 yards. 4.1 per carry, nothing flashy, but he caught 7 balls for 72 yards. So Antonio Gibson, a converted receiver, he's taking advantage of the opportunity of Brian Robinson being out because of the tragedy of him getting shot. It looks like Robinson will be able to come back for week 5, but if Gibson continues to play pretty well, like he did, he wasn't spectacular, but if Gibson can continue to do the job the way he did here in this game, then it's going to be a split share between him and Robinson. And that's really going to hurt both guys. All right, Scary Terry saved his day. So the same thing like Rashad Bateman had the touchdown, the 49-yard touchdown, 2 catches for 58 yards. You really got to feel for Terry McLaurin. He's a really good player, plagued with poor quarterback play. And he really was overshadowed by Curtis Samuel. Welcome back, Curtis Samuel, 55 and a touchdown. So, picking up Curtis Samuel, I wouldn't run out and do that, but I want to see. And he also carried the ball 4 times for 17 yards. So they use Curtis Samuel all over the place. So I'm very curious to see if that continues going forward. He was one of the biggest unsung heroes of the day, Curtis Samuel, for sure. So I'm interested. I'm not going to run out and grab him, but I'm interested. If nobody picks him up, then yeah, I'll take a shot here. All right, Logan Thomas came back, 3 catches for 45 yards. Nothing special there. How about this? Jahan Dotson, the rookie, 3 catches for 40 yards and 2 touchdowns. So what you could say about Carson Wentz in this game is that Carson Wentz spread the football around. So you have 3 receivers now on the Commanders. I almost said the Redskins. The Commanders, who McLaurin's owned already, but Dotson, he made the most of his day with the 2 touchdowns, and Curtis Samuel absolutely now needs to be looked at a little bit more closely. All right, Brad's typed down 172 to 153 have Evans, Schultz, and Javonte. Opponent has Judy. Oh yeah, if you don't win that, I'd be shocked. Evans, Schultz, and Javonte. Yeah, you should be good. Jerry Jeudy is not gonna. Even if Jerry Jeudy has a good game, you got 3 studs there. I wouldn't worry about that. I'd be shocked if you lose, but, stranger things have happened, right? All right, so, yeah, Curtis Samuel, I'm interested in – Curtis Samuel and Taysom Hill are the 2 guys off waivers. If you don't already own Joshua Palmer, the 2 guys off waivers that are standing out a little bit to me, all right? All right, so what am I up to now? I did the Jacksonville game. All right, Cleveland and Carolina. All right. Obviously, the Baker Mayfield story here. Mayfield, just okay, 16 of 27, 235, a touchdown and an interception. Jacoby Brissett, no need to talk about Jacoby Brissett because there's no fantasy relevancy here. Nick Chubb, man, I've said this over and over again. Nick Chubb is as good a runner as there is in the entire NFL. He is that good. Every year he averages over 5 yards per carry. The problem with Nick Chubb with fantasy football, he doesn't catch the ball. And Kareem Hunt, who does, is more than a pain in the ass thorn in the side. So Nick Chubb, 22 carries, 141 yards, only 1 catch for 2 yards. But Kareem Hunt really capitalized, 11 carries for 46 yards and a touchdown, 4 catches, 24 yards and a touchdown. So Hunt hits pay dirt twice. I'm telling you, if Kareem Hunt, ever ended up on another team where he's the guy, he's a first-round pick next year, 100%. So if Kareem Hunt ends up on a team where he's going to be a bell cow back or at least getting the lion's share of touches, he's a first-round pick next year for sure. He's still very explosive. Christian McCaffrey. Thank God I took Jonathan Taylor over Christian McCaffrey when I had the number 1 pick in the one league I was talking about. McCaffrey scored. That's okay. That's good. But 10 carries for 33 yards, 4 catches for 24 yards. Here's the thing about McCaffrey. That Carolina offensive line might be the worst offensive line in football, right there with the Raiders. They were pathetic. The blocking was non-existent. And that, to me, other than the injuries with McCaffrey, That was what the tiebreaker was between him and Taylor for me. I went with Taylor because the Colts offensive line is one of the best in the league. McCaffrey's offensive line is one of the worst in the league. And, you can be a little worried. You're always concerned about the injuries, but now you got to worry about the offensive line as well. DJ Moore, very, very disappointed in him. 3 for 43. That needs to be watched. Hopefully, Mayfield hooked up at Robbie Anderson 5 times for 102 yards and a touchdown. So, does Mayfield like throwing to Robbie Anderson more? That bears watching. David Njoku, 1 catch for 7 yards. I was interested in him again this year, as a late round option at a depleted tight end position. But yeah, that wasn't good. That was, yeah. Yikes. If you own David Njoku, look somewhere else, starting with Taysom Hill. All right, the Colts, Matty Ice, 32 of 50, a touchdown and interception. He also fumbled. Matt Ryan is old. I think he'll be much better, but you're only using him in super flex. If you want to use him as a backup in single quarterback leagues, I don't even think you really need to go that far. Adams with the car connection. I already talked about Adams at the top of the show. Adams was unbelievable. And clearly he's going to be just fine without Aaron Rodgers. All right, Davis Mills. Stanford quarterbacks do well in the NFL. Going back to John Elway, Andrew Luck, these guys are always very smart because they go to Stanford. Davis Mills looked good last year as a rookie, unsung. Nobody really talked about it. And he was very good in this one, 23 of 37, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So Davis Mills, while you're not going to pick him up, you're not going to use him obviously in single quarterback leagues or even as your backup. In super flex leagues, that's pushing it. But it makes you feel better about Brandon Cooks, all right? Brandon Cooks, 7 for 82 in this game. And I passed this along in a separate video. Brandon Cooks was on a 160 target pace. That's Stephon Diggs target pace with Davis Mills as his quarterback. So Brandon Cooks is going to be really good this year, folks. And he's really fucking underrated every year, all right? Like, people don't realize how underrated Brandon Cooks is every year. And it's going to continue on this season as well. All right, Jonathan Taylor is a beast among men. 31 carries. Boy, that's a lot of carries, man. I don't like to see anybody get 31 carries, especially Jonathan Taylor. But 161 yards rushing and a touchdown. 4 catches for 14 yards. Not great catching the football. But he kept Nyheim Hines at bay in terms of the running game. Nyheim Hines only 3 carries for 4 yards. But Nyheim Hines was involved in the passing game, 6 catches for 50 yards. So they did want to get Hines involved more this season, and at least on the passing side of things, they did that. Now, Michael Pittman. I love Michael Pittman. I own him in one league. 9 catches, 121 yards, a touchdown. If you did a prop bet on who's going to lead the NFL in receptions this season, Michael Pittman's got to be right at the top. And Matt Ryan has a history of fixating on one guy. He did it for years with Julio Jones, and he did that with Michael Pittman in this game. Just unbelievable performance for him. All right, the other thing was O.J. Howard, 2 catches for 38 yards, and both went for touchdowns. So, you're not going to pick up O.J. Howard. It was very, very touchdown fluky dependent. But that definitely helped out Davis Mills. All right, so let's look at the running game for the Texans. So Damien Pierce. Damien Pierce. I told you not to go crazy with Damien Pierce. 1 catch for 6 yards, 11 carries for 33 yards. Man, Damien Pierce, man, he was the story of the summer. I admit I got caught up in it a little bit myself, but I had said 2 things. 1, he's not going to get a full allotment of carries because he was a part-time guy at Florida. He's not conditioned to get that much work. 2, he wasn't going to be a factor in the passing game because that's Rex Burkhead's thing. And Burkhead did the job, at least on the passing side of things. Burkhead, 5 catches for 30 yards. And he also ran the ball 14 times for 40 yards. So if you're a Damien Pierce owner, you're not happy that Rex Burkhead got as much work as he did, especially getting more carries. All right, let's get to the Giants game. Holy cow, Saquon Barkley. Listen, Saquon Barkley was a late first-round pick in leagues right up to the last week of drafting season. He was a monster today, right there with Player of the Week. 18 carries, 164 yards and a touchdown. Also with the winning 2-point conversion. Also in the passing game, 6 catches for 30 yards. So Saquon Barkley was a PPR monster. This is the guy that Dave Gettleman drafted number 2 overall out of Penn State. This was the guy who took the league by storm as a rookie. This is the guy who can win you a league, as Caleb Garcia just wrote in the chat, if he stays healthy. Can he stay healthy? There's a lot of carries, a lot of work in this one, but Brian Daboll, we trust. Brian Daboll's going to put Saquon Barkley in the best position to succeed, and he's going to go ape shit this season in PPR leagues like he did in this one. All right, Daniel Jones. Boy, Daniel Jones made some boneheaded plays. He threw a horrible interception, but 17 of 21, 188 yards. He did throw 2 touchdowns, also ran for 25 yards. Jones is holding off Tyrod Taylor for now. It looked pretty ugly early on. Not going to lie. I'm a Giant fan, just so you know. It was very concerning early on in the game, but Jones kept his head, led them down the field, and the Giants come away with a shocking win. Destroyed a lot of survivor pools for sure. All right, Randy Miller. I did go over Michael Carter, Randy. I said that Michael Carter is really the only Jet other than maybe Elijah Moore I would own. Carter's not going to go away. It's going to be a split between him and Breece Hall, and he's going to catch a lot of passes out of the backfield in garbage time. Allen Robinson, I did a bunch of videos on him already. I think he'll be fine, Randy. Stafford missed him open numerous times. They vowed to get him more involved this going forward, so I think he'll be okay. And yes, Del J, beast mode on that 2-point conversion. He was not going to be denied. All right, Derrick Henry, 21 carries for 82 yards. Nothing major there. Did not have a catch. Was not targeted. He went to the blue tent to be looked at some point. So Derrick Henry, nothing special here. But you know what? I mean, you're looking for touchdowns. When Derrick Henry doesn't score, it makes the day a little difficult. Sterling Shepard, 2 catches, 71 yards, including a 65-yard catch and run for a touchdown. Kenny Galladay, 2 for 22. If you have Kenny Galladay on your team, you need to quit fantasy football. Wan'Dale Robinson got hurt. That was a bummer. All right, Kyle Phillips. Treylon Burks caught 3 passes for 55 yards, but it was Kyle Phillips, 6 catches for 66 yards. He's in the slot. So Kyle Phillips, is a guy that now in PPR leagues, deeper PPR leagues, you might want to look at. Would you rather start CEH or Michael Carter? You know what? I'd rather start CEH, especially since you have Mahomes as your quarterback, Randy. So they connected twice for touchdowns. I believe it was 2. So yeah, you want to stack that for sure. And the Chiefs are obviously like on one end of the spectrum as a good team compared to Michael Carter. Caleb Garcia, thank you for saying that. Awesome job, boss. I really appreciate that. I work hard at this, guys. I appreciate all the support, and it definitely means a lot. Make sure you share me out and follow and subscribe if you haven't done so already. All right, 2 more games to go. I took the over for the win totals this year for the Minnesota Vikings. I think they're going to be a much better team than people give them credit for. Kirk Cousins, who I predicted could lead the NFL in passing yards, was 23 of 32, 277 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was very efficient, very good. On the flip side, Aaron Rodgers, holy shit. Boy, this was bad. 22 of 34 passing, 195 yards, no touchdowns and interceptions. If you started Aaron Rodgers this week, you might have lost your matchup. All right. Man, the offense looks broken in Green Bay. It's really going to have to be Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, and that's it. And speaking of Jones and Dillon, they were on the field together multiple times. If you own Aaron Jones, you're not happy. 5 carries for 49 yards. He averaged 9.8 a carry, which was good. But Jones only caught 3 passes for 27 yards. That's not going to get it done. They have to get Aaron Jones more involved. The concerns about A.J. Dillon are valid. Dillon actually had a very good game, 10 for 45 running the ball with a touchdown, and he caught 5 balls for 46 yards. So A.J. Dillon overshadowed Aaron Jones, and Aaron Jones was like 2 or 3 rounds more expensive, which is concerning. So if you're an Aaron Jones owner, you didn't like what happened today. All right, Dalvin Cook. I love Dalvin Cook in this offense. 20 carries for 90 yards, 3 catches for 18 yards. I think Dalvin Cook can catch more passes as we go along. So I'm loving all the Minnesota Vikings. I totally am loving all the Minnesota Vikings. So if you have Viking players, you're in a good spot. Now, the Green Bay receivers. Nobody knew how this was going to shake out with Allen Lazard being out. I tell you what, if you own Allen Lazard, I think he's going to be really good when he comes back. He's going to be very heavily targeted when he comes back because the slot that we saw from the Packer receivers today, it almost guarantees that Lazard is going to be good. As a matter of fact, if you don't own Allen Lazard, I would go out and trade for him now. All right, Romeo Doubs, 4 catches for 37 yards. That was the leader in the clubhouse. Robert Tonyan, 3 for 36. Tonyan was okay, still getting up to speed. I still like Robert Tonyan down the stretch, as we get further into the season. But you're just really going to monitor him. Christian Watson dropped a pass early on, a deep throw, 2 catches for 34 yards. Not great there. And Sammy Watkins did not continue his trend of going nuclear in week 1. 2 catches for 34 yards. The only receiver I would own on the Green Bay Packers is Allen Lazard. Like I said, go out now, make an offer for Allen Lazard because I think he's going to be very heavily targeted when he comes back, especially off of this disgusting game for the passing offense. Chase Edmonds or Michael Carter. Sorry if you mentioned it already. PPR, Chase Edmonds. Yeah, I don't want any of the Jets. I think, Edmonds didn't run the ball well today, but I still think he's going to be targeted heavily. Randy Miller, my Twitter is @RotoBoss. @RotoBoss. ROTOBOSS. All right. And folks, if you're just jumping in, post questions. I'm answering questions. We're going over the box scores of all the games. And also subscribe and hit the notification button. All right, Justin Jefferson. Oh, my God, Justin Jefferson. This made my day. I drafted him 4th overall ahead of Cooper Kupp. I was second-guessing myself after Kupp went apeshit in the first game for the Rams. But, boy, story of the day, one of the stories of the day, 9 catches, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns. We all heard about Kevin O'Connell bringing his Rams ideas that he helped make Cooper Kupp a stud last season to Minnesota, and this was just spectacular all the way around. I mean, Justin Jefferson, if you own him, and I'm lucky enough to own him in one league, I cannot wait to see what happens with this. Adam Thielen, 3 catches for 36 yards. Non-story for him. The fact that Jefferson had the 2 touchdowns, awesome. Just great stuff here. I can't wait to see what happens going forward. All right, I think the last game, yes, Kansas City, Arizona. Man, the other story of the day, Pat Mahomes. He's going to be just fine without Tyree Kill. So Mahomes, 30 of 39, 360 yards, 5 touchdowns, and he added 5 yards rushing. Patrick Mahomes is just not fair, folks. He's not fair. I mean, damn, that was crazy how good Pat Mahomes was. This offense is spreading the ball around, and they're going to be great as usual. Andy Reid knows what he's doing. I wouldn't worry about it. What I would worry about is the Arizona offense. Kyler Murray, 22 of 34, 193 yards. He did throw 2 touchdowns, but one of them was in garbage time. Murray ran for only 29 yards. Even last season, Murray wasn't running as much. If he's not going to run, it may not be great. And I didn't go after Kyler Murray anywhere. I wasn't chasing him. I don't like this offense. I think Cliff Kingsbury is going to be on the hot seat. He may not even make the season if this continues. This was an embarrassing performance by the Cardinals. Now the running game for the Chiefs. Interesting. So Isaiah Pacheco, listen, all right, I'll admit I was wrong. I didn't think he was going to be a factor. I really didn't. Got 12 carries for 62 yards, 5.2 a pop, and a touchdown. I don't think he caught any passes, though. I'm just checking. No catches, all right? Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 7 carries for 42 yards. So Edwards-Helaire carried the ball pretty well himself, added 3 catches for 32 yards. Edwards-Helaire, 2 touchdown catches from Mahomes, so that was good. But, if you're an Edwards-Helaire owner, it was very touchdown dependent today. And Pacheco getting 12 carries for 62 yards. I didn't think he was going to be a story. I was wrong. If Pacheco's out there on waivers, you got to pick him up. Jerick McKinnon did carry 4 times for 22 yards, so they are spreading it around. Ronald Jones was nowhere to be found. All right. James Conner, 10 for 26 and a touchdown. Not good. Not good at all. Excuse me. He did catch 5 passes for 29 yards. Conner could do a decent job on the PPR front. Ezekiel Elliott with a touchdown. with a first down run, not a touchdown, as the Cowboys-Buccaneers game is now underway. Now, the passing tree for Kansas City, this is what I was interested in seeing. Travis Kelce, he's going to be just fine as well. There was some concern that, his average depth per target decreased last year. Well, 8 catches, 121 yards, and a touchdown. Kelsey's going to remain the top dog. Juju Smith-Schuster, who I tried to get in both leagues and I failed. Really pissed off about that because I really wanted Juju. 6 catches, 79 yards. He did lose a fumble. So it was a solid game, nothing spectacular. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is just going to be a big play-dependent guy, 4 catches for 44 yards. Sky Moore, the rookie, only 1 catch for 30 yards. So Macaulay Hardman, 3 for 16. So really it was just Juju and Travis Kelce with a little bit of MVS sprinkled in. So those are the fantasy options you have to be concerned about. For Arizona, Marquise Brown went bust. For only 4 catches for 43 yards. He did have the touchdown, so I shouldn't have used the word bust. He didn't go completely bust. But I thought there would be at least 7 catches for him, maybe 8. The yardage would have been much better. He's lucky he got the touchdown and saved the day. Not good there. And Zach Ertz got the touchdown late, which was good, but only 2 catches for 14 yards. This offense looks bad. There's no other way to look at it. I really think that they got to do much better. I would be concerned there. So, all right. So for me, I always like to share how I did in my leagues. I won both of my leagues this week. Even though it wasn't looking so good early on, Dak just hit CJ Lamb with a deep throw. I managed to pull both out, so I'm pretty happy about that. So, so the injuries, like I said, we're going to watch out for T. Higgins, Keenan Allen, Najee Harris, Elijah Mitchell, and then we're going to play the wire. I'm going to give you my ads tomorrow, who I think should be added for the waiver wire. If there's any more questions, make sure you post them before I jump out of here because I'm winding things down. I'm a little tired. It's been a long day. I don't have the energy for the season yet. Thanks for the thumbs up, Caleb Garcia. But remember, if you're new, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button. There's going to be a lot of videos tomorrow. Matt Chen, should I trade CMC and Debo for Justin Jefferson and Aaron Jones? Yeah, I would do that right now before he takes it down. Holy crap, I wish I got offers like that. I think Aaron Jones is going to be fine, Matt, so make sure you accept that. And somebody actually offered you Justin Jefferson off of that game. Man, I don't know who that person is, but send them my way because that's easy money. Listen, I'm not a fan of Debo, Matt, so feel comfortable about getting rid of him because if they're going to use Debo as much as they did today in the running game, he's going to get injured. And CMC, that offensive line is brutal in Carolina. You saw how great Justin Jefferson was. Aaron Jones will be better. Do that trade before he takes it away. I started to say before, hit the subscribe and notification button because this is how it's going to be every week. You saw this week how I posted the instant injury videos. I'm doing the live stream. We've been on for over an hour here, so make sure you do that as well. All right, guys, I'm going to throw in the towel here. I'm going to watch this Dallas-Tampa Bay game. Thanks for joining. I appreciate all that support. Again, watch for tomorrow for the videos, and we will talk soon. Have a great night, everybody.